dense fields of snow, the track climbing and twisting all the way, past 6 or 7 rather ominous-looking metal rubbish containers parked off the track on the left-hand side. They looked like tanks without caterpillar tracks. Even up here, the Norwegian concern for the environment was in evidence. Each container colour-coded, green for paper and cardboard, black for glass, and blue for other rubbish. 2 more bends, and now we saw high above us, where the track took yet another upward turn and twisted back on itself. A string of coloured lights in the shape of a fir tree tethered outside Begli Fjerstu, the cafe that functions as a sort of social centre for the cabin community in the winter. I indicated and made a right turn off the track as it twisted on up towards that festive fir tree, and saw with relief that Jørgen, the landowner who had sold us the land and whom we paid 3,000 kroner a year to clear the snow with his giant yellow plough, had been within the last few hours, and we were able to drive the last 100 metres up to the cabin through a layer of snow no more than 10 centimetres deep. I almost wished he hadn't, and that we had been obliged to turn round and drive back to Oslo again. Turning off the engine, I sat for a moment, looking upwards and outwards through the window in astonishment at the almost unbelievable quantity of snow piled up on the cabin roof. It added something like an extra 20% to its height. A great white quiff of it reared up dramatically, like a hawk-sized wave about to smash down, while below it dangled down over the gable in what looked like a gravity-defying suspension. Left to its own devices, exuberant nature had abandoned all self-control. Since our last visit 3 weeks earlier, it had spent the days and nights whipping and scouring the open area separating the cabin from the dense stand of pines at the top of the steep slope behind it, whirling the snow up onto the roof into a monstrous cowlick of compacted flakes. My first thought was that the roof couldn't possibly take even one more snowflake, and the local forecast was for more. My second thought was, I need to get up there on the ladder and clear it. My third thought was, how? Even before getting out of the car, I could see that the cabin was surrounded by a wall of snow about waist high. Where could I even plant the ladder in order to climb up onto the roof and start shoveling the snow down? No answer, but no option either. We climbed out of the car. Jørgen had managed to get the scoop of his giant plough almost up to the door of our shed, so after unlocking the door we took out 2 snow scoops and for the next 20 minutes worked together to clear a narrow track to the main door of the cabin, on the long side wall facing the shed and about 1.5 meters away from it. The shed too wore a crown of snow that almost doubled its height. Then, as Nina ferried the plastic bags of shopping into the cabin from the car, I got down on my hands and knees and dragged and wiggled the 2 halves of the sliding ladder out from their storage space beneath the planks of the terrace at the front of the cabin. Having locked them together, I staggered across the terrace to the long eastern-facing wall of the cabin, and after several attempts at a manoeuvre that involved lifting the ladder up high enough to plunge its legs down through the snow until they hit something solid at the bottom, I finally managed to lean up against the roof at an angle of about 45 degrees and about 2 meters to the right of the weatherboards. With a snow scoop for the heavy clearing gripped in my right hand and an ordinary shovel for more detailed work dangling from my left, I then began the slow ascent, 1 step at a time, keeping my body pressed as close to the rungs as possible, the tools banging and snagging against the rungs, until finally I was above the level of the guttering and about to reach out and anchor them both in the snow. In my almost insane haste to get on with the job, I was still wearing the clothes I had driven up in, a zip-up fleece jacket over a merino wool vest with a high collar, denim jeans with merino wool long johns underneath, and a pair of ordinary Echo sports shoes. The next problem was how to get from the ladder onto the roof without immediately sliding over the edge. The snow was still quite fresh, but as I discovered from my first tentative step off and to the right of the top rung, it was wet enough to be stamped down into a flat platform large enough to stand on. Transferring my weight from the safety of the ladder onto the first step, I made 5 further such platforms, each one of which brought